What is up, my butter biscuits? Y'all, I'm just letting you guys know right off the jump, I'm going to be a little bit rambly before jumping into today's video because this is my first video filming after the new year, 2024. I'm sure you guys probably already seen the video about James Charles, which actually came out after New Year's, but I filmed it before. So this is my first one technically in my head. So I do want to say Happy New Year. I hope you guys had a fun and safe one. I do got to keep it with you guys. This was probably the most boring New Year of my entire life. I do want to say though, it was a nice little change. You know what I mean? But I'm just keeping it real. Like, I'm the type of person that I really go like balls to the wall for New Year's, only because I feel like life is so short. I feel like us making it through another year is really just an accomplishment. And on top of that too, I look for every excuse to celebrate. Honestly, I feel like the older I get too, you would think that I would be like simmering down more, but I feel like I probably party a little bit more the older I get, because I'm like, life is so short and it could just end at any time. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I just want to look for any reason to celebrate. But this year I actually stayed in and I was with my friend and we just kicked back, had a couple drinks, and that was pretty much it. It was very, very uneventful. But I do have to say, at least I didn't have to pay like extremely high Uber rates, y'all, because I was looking at some of the Uber rates. I was like, oh my gosh, like literally just to go like 30 miles was about $175. I was like, yeah, so we're gonna stay in today, because obviously I couldn't get a DD, and I was like, I'm so sorry, but I'm not gonna be the DD. Do you know what I mean? It's a holiday. So I stayed in and I just feel like it was a little bit boring. But I do have to say, compared to last year, oh my gosh, if you guys are not subscribed to my podcast channel, me and my homegirl Jelly have our own podcast. It'll be linked down below. I actually am in the middle of editing that podcast, and I do want to say we really didn't do, because we did a story time basically of last year's New Year's going into 2023. I don't think that we did a really good job at explaining just how dramatic it was. If I'm being quite honest with you guys, I feel like we kind of underplayed it, because I have to say last year was probably the most dramatic, and I say like the most dramatic New Year's I've ever experienced in my entire life. I feel like it literally could have been a reality TV show, like one of those messy, dramatic ones. Like honestly, y'all, it's like Jersey Shore mixed with like baddies, mixed with like Bachelorette. Like it was just a hot mess. And we did a little bit of a story time, but we were watching the football game before that, so we were a little bit tipsy already. So I was like, we really didn't do that much of that good of a job, like, you know, making it seem as dramatic as it was, because it was dramatic. So I would rather say, honestly, when it comes down into this New Year's, I'd rather have this New Year's than last New Year's, because you know, it was a mess. It was a shit show. Also, another thing that I wanted to like just briefly mention, only because I thought this was like so ironic. Speaking of reality TV, I feel like when I was growing up, Heidi Montag and like Spencer, what's his name? Spencer Pratt, is that it? I forget, from The Hills. Y'all, I thought they were like the it couple. They were like so crazy in all the headlines. Like, I think there was like one People magazine where she said she spent like $1 million on plastic surgery on her face. And I just saw her right now, literally, as I was turning off the TV to film this video. I just saw her on a Hydroxy Cut commercial. And I always see Spencer. I'm like scrolling through TikTok. Y'all, I stay up so late scrolling through TikTok. And I'm scrolling through TikTok and I always see Spencer on there selling like jewels. Like, or not jewels, but like birthstones, or I don't know, some type of stone. You know what I mean? Like amethyst, onyx, like those types of things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what if their life become to? Because at one point in time, I'm like, if you spent $1 million on your face, like you got money in the bank, and now you're on TikTok live selling jewels and stones and like, I don't know, like all of these different types of like quartz and stuff like that. And then Heidi Montag's on a damn Hydroxy Cut commercial. I do have to say, I find that to be a little bit weird. Anyways, y'all, as you guys can tell by the title of today's video, we're gonna be talking about Trisha Paytas, because it seems like, y'all, I feel like this day and age, you really can't say anything without like offending people or bothering people. That's why I literally am saying, especially within my podcast, I'm just like, I don't care anymore. Like, my opinion is my opinion. That's just it. I feel like, especially coming from Trisha Paytas, I don't ever really think, well, nowadays, I don't feel like she means anything to be like hurtful. It's just like her opinion, and sometimes she doesn't realize the words that come out of her mouth. Well, anyway, she made a comment about one of RuPaul's Drag Race stars, I want to say from last season, and he's just not having it over there. I do have to say, though, it seems like he's being a good sport about it, but then there's obviously a lot of people that are really bashing Trisha Paytas over this, and I do kind of understand, because I'm going to play a clip within today's video of her most recent podcast where she did bring up Lucy LaDuca, and I could understand how people who, you know, ride or die for Lucy LaDuca would be like, okay, she's being a mean girl, but I honestly didn't take it like that. I just think like she's like, oh, he was just boring on the show, and that's just pretty much it. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like, I don't know, maybe because I'm so open-minded with things, y'all, so many people have commented to me before saying like, oh my gosh, you ramble too much, you talk too much, you're uninteresting, you're boring, whatever, and I'm just like, okay, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? So I don't really take it too deep. I want to say I feel like he was being a good sport about it, but then his followers were not having it, y'all. Just keeping it real. So we're going to be talking about that within today's video. So make sure you guys give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget, the new podcast channel is live. Probably by the time you guys see this video, my first one should be up by now. It'll be linked down below. So make sure you guys go show some love over there, and let's go ahead and get into it. It's literally so cold right now that I had to throw on a hoodie, and I have to say that is like super rare for me because when I got all these lights busted out, low-key I get really hot, to be honest with you. But I'm like, it's 50 degrees right now and actually only 8:30, and I'm like, that's crazy for LA, y'all. Like, I'm so sorry. I know there's so many other people that'll be like, well, I'm from Michigan and it's like 18 degrees, and I'm from Minnesota and it's -2, and I'm like, y'all, I just have to let you guys know, here in California, obviously we're used to the warmth, so when it drops down this low, it's a trip. And next week it said that it's going to be 35 degrees at nighttime. I've lived in Southern California my whole entire life, Los Angeles County specifically. I have never seen 35, like literally ever. I want to say the coldest that I've ever seen over here is like 39, which was pretty cold. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and start this video off by actually showing you guys a clip from her podcast where she was talking about this RuPaul's Drag Race star, and I really want you guys to pay attention to it. I hope you guys watch Trisha Paytas, because I could totally understand if you guys don't know Trisha Paytas, then maybe this might be like, oh, okay, like that's a little bit rude. But also at the same time too, I want to say this before showing you guys the clip, like, I feel if you are opening yourself up to be on a reality competition show or a competition show, a reality show, 90 Day Fiance, you are opening yourself up for criticism. People are taking a look into your life, into your personality. And obviously, if a viewer is watching the show, they're going to have opinions. And I don't give a shit what anybody says. Anybody watching a TV show is going to have an opinion. If I watch RuPaul's Drag Race in front of my straight, like 55-year-old dad, like he's literally going to have an opinion about the show or the person on the show. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like that's just natural. That's what the TV show is for. People are going to have opinions. And I feel like, especially too, when you have a podcast, you're going to talk about it. Do you know what I mean? And I don't really take it as like that much of like shade or negativity. It's literally just an opinion, and that's pretty much it. So my little 2 cents before you guys watch this clip right here.
You remember that one? I think she made it pretty far, and I was like, I don't know how. No offense. Oh my god, that Drake one. Come on. But she, like, and everyone was lip syncing, and she's like, I'm gonna just live sing. Do you remember her?
Which
it was
one?
early on. They had to make their own songs, and she's like, no, my
Lucy
talent.
LaDuca. Let loose.
Moses now is, oh man, you're not even on camera. That was the one that was like, right? Why was she annoying?
She got a really bad edit. I think.
You think? People say that, but I'm like, is that?
That's what she said. Everyone that like hated her, like all the contestants that would like feud with her in the show, they're all friendly with her now. So I feel like that kind of affirms that she kind of got the villain edit a little bit, but. It was kind of, without her, it wouldn't have been as like fun, I think. You have to have a villain in the show. And it's kind of unfortunate because people like really like hate on them. But afterwards, it's like, you know what, I can appreciate the villainry.
I didn't think of it as a villain. I just thought like boring. Because like even for Snap Game, what was she, like Joan Rivers or something? And I was like, that's what gets praised? I'm like, everyone does Joan Rivers. Like that's not go to Vegas and see Frank Marino doing Joan Rivers. You know, like that's like such a common thing. So I was like, I don't know.
So as you guys can see from right there, like, I don't know. It's just me and my opinion. I feel like she really wasn't even being that harsh about it. Like I don't know. I didn't take it too deep, to be quite honest with you guys. I was like, okay, she's just saying that he's just a little bit boring on the show. And then Oscar was saying like, oh, he was pretty much like the villain. Y'all, I do have to say, watching that season, a lot of people did not like Lucy, but I do feel like she definitely made the show interesting. And I don't think that people understand this. Like, I got my homegirl Jelly into watching 90 Day Fiance, and y'all, oh my gosh, I love 90 Day Fiance for those of you that know me. And she's like, oh my God, I hate this person. I hate this person. Like, oh, why are they on the show? Why are they on the show? And I'm like, without them, the show would be boring. Like, you need a dramatic person. And I've always said, if I was going to be on a reality TV show, you guys would see like a whole different side of me, because I would be like such a messy, shady bitch. Like, I know that I gotta secure my role on the show and get the views up. Do you know what I mean? Like, can you guys just imagine if you watch like Real Housewives of like Atlanta without Nene Leakes? The show wouldn't have been interesting because she was over here being shady towards this person and going at it with this person, and that's what made the show good. And I feel like people don't understand that sometimes. And I'm like, y'all, good thing that Lucy was on the show, because honestly, I do think that she did make it a little bit entertaining, in my opinion, and Trisha Paytas thought that she was boring. But Lucy LaDuca took to Twitter to comment about this and low-key call out Trisha Paytas, because he didn't directly say Trisha Paytas, which I feel like personally he should have just said it, because she called him out by name, so I think that he should have just said it, in my opinion. But this is what he said right here. Kinda cunty that a famous YouTuber hates me so much that they're dragging me over an episode that aired a year ago, laughing emoji. And then he wrote back to that too and said, the white girl who has dressed as several other ethnicities and falsely claimed to be transgender for clickbait. Okay, honestly, y'all, I know you guys are probably thinking right now, like, no, it seems like he's very pressed about this. Obviously, I did say in the beginning, I was like, I feel like he was being a good sport about it, but it's because a lot of people are obviously going to comment. I'll read the comments in just a little bit and read like his replies to it, because I feel like he was being a good sport after the fact. Low-key, he sounded very pointed at first. And I do want to say this, like, the fact that he said dragging me, I don't even think that Trisha Paytas was dragging him, to be quite honest. I think that she just said that he was boring, and that's just pretty much it. Do you know what I mean? And then she had made a comment about him playing Joan Rivers, and like, okay, like every drag queen does Joan Rivers. And I'm like, honestly, in my opinion, I have seen a lot of drag queens do Joan Rivers, but I do have to say this. I thought Lucy's version of Joan Rivers was actually really good on her season, in my personal opinion. But these are just what of the comments say right here. Another person right here says Trisha Paytas will begin to cough in 3 days, and he said, "You said it, Daya. I saw it." Don't understand what that means, but I'm just letting you guys know his reply. And then somebody else wrote back on there and said, "Oh no." And then this is where I say right here, it seems like he's being a good sport. I don't really know, because he wrote back and said, "It's not a huge deal. I just think it's funny. It's like, damn, I really made an impact, huh?" I'm like, okay. And then somebody else right here said, "At least you're still the topic of conversation." And Lucy responded to that and said, "Oh, I'm fully not mad at it. People just like to pick apart everything I say because of my character on the show. I sincerely think it's cunty that I'm never," oh my gosh, I cannot read right now. Let me start that over. "Oh, I'm fully not mad at it. People just like to pick apart everything I say because of my character on the show. I sincerely think it's cunty that I'm even a topic of discussion for her. The haters stay pressed." And I do want to say this, obviously, if you guys don't know, if you guys don't keep up with Trisha Paytas' podcast, like, she's barely getting into RuPaul's Drag Race, so she's like catching up. Do you know what I mean? So obviously it is a year later, and she's probably talking about it because it's new to her. Do you know what I mean? Anyways, in my personal opinion, I feel like, first of all, obviously a lot of people were like really pressed about this. You know what's really crazy? I was gonna tell you guys too, is that I actually was even Googling this too, because I was like, wait, what? Like, I was trying to see the actual clip itself. I didn't know which episode of the Trisha or Just Trish podcast it was in. And y'all, they literally had an article about this on pride.com as well as Yahoo News. I was like, is it really that deep of her to say that she thought a drag queen was boring on a show? Do you know what I mean? I was like, low-key, I didn't really think it was that big of a deal. I do think at first he probably was bothered about it, and then he kind of thought about it and said, oh, you know what, whatever, at least I'm a topic of conversation. And I don't really think that it's like that deep of a issue to begin with. Do you know what I mean? If I was on my podcast and say, for example, like, I thought somebody was boring on the show, then that's just it. That's just my opinion on it. Do you know what I mean? I don't really feel like people should be triggered over that, but y'all, this day and age, everyone and their mom is triggered over everything. I don't know. Anyways, make sure you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions about it. Do you guys think that Trisha was being like really negative towards him? Do you really think that she was like dragging him, as he said? Because in my opinion, I didn't take that as a drag at all. If somebody called you boring and you think that's a drag, then I'm like, oh, damn. Like, whoo, you read my comment section and then you're going to get dragged. You know what I mean? Anyways, make sure you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions about everything. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, Girl Scout.